The Pizzaverse Bad Decision Insurance Company. Before today's documentary begins, a message from our completely fictional sponsor. Have you recently accepted financial advice from a talking fox? Buried your savings in a field because somebody promised you a money tree? Climbed aboard an unmarked wagon because some kid named Candlewick said there would be no school? Or ignored a talking cricket because, frankly, he was getting on your nerves? Then congratulations. You may qualify for coverage from the Pizzaverse Bad Decision Insurance Company. For one low monthly payment, we protect you against the financial consequences of decisions so spectacularly stupid that even Pinocchio would stop and say, maybe think this one through. Our premium package includes fox and cat scam protection, suspicious coachman coverage, emergency donkey transformation assistance, circus resale protection, and our exclusive "somebody is trying to turn my ass into a drum" policy. That's right. If you are sold, resold, chased by assassins, hanged from a tree, swallowed by a giant sea creature, or transformed into livestock because you ignored every red flag God personally placed in front of you, we've got you covered. Probably. Terms and conditions apply. Actually, a lot of terms and conditions apply. Our lawyers have requested that you stop asking questions. And remember, the Pizzaverse Bad Decision Insurance Company cannot protect you from everything. We cannot cover get-rich-quick schemes, unlicensed magical fields, strangers promising unlimited fun, talking animals offering investment opportunities, or decisions beginning with the phrase, "Come on, what's the worst that could happen?" Because apparently the answer to that question in 19th century Italy was a lot. The Pizzaverse Bad Decision Insurance Company. Protecting people from terrible choices since approximately 5 minutes before they make another one. And now, back to Pinocchio, where one wooden child proves that sometimes the nose growing is the least of your problems.
Disclaimer. The following documentary is presented for educational, historical, analytical, satirical, and entertainment purposes only. Yes, we are discussing Pinocchio. No, Disney did not personally invent child labor. The fox and the cat are not currently under federal indictment, and Jiminy Cricket's estate has declined to comment. This documentary examines Carlo Collodi's original story, 19th century Italian social conditions, child labor, exploitation, migration, and the darker themes that later adaptations considerably softened. Some interpretations discussed here are exactly that, interpretations. Where historical evidence supports a claim, we treat it as history. Where scholars disagree, we say so. And where somebody on the internet took one fact, added 3 conspiracy theories, shook vigorously, and called it research, we politely remove the marinara from the evidence file. This documentary does not claim that Pinocchio was secretly written as a literal exposé of one specific trafficking organization, unless reliable historical evidence supports that conclusion. It also does not accuse any living individual or organization of criminal activity. Historical references to exploitation, forced labor, abuse, poverty, and violence are included because 19th century children's literature apparently believed bedtime stories should leave everybody staring at the ceiling, reconsidering civilization. Viewer discretion is advised, especially if your entire understanding of Pinocchio begins and ends with a cricket in a top hat singing about wishes. Because Carlo Collodi's version, that little wooden bastard came with considerably fewer musical numbers and substantially more attempted murder. A Pizzaverse Studios and Palermo Productions documentary. We don't rewrite history. We excavate it.
Pinocchio, the dark truth behind the wooden boy. The violence, exploitation, and history Disney left behind. A Pizzaverse Studios documentary. A Palermo Productions original. Written by Bambi Palermo. Narrated by Vincent Vinny DiPrio. Produced by Pizzaverse Studios and Palermo Productions. Based on the original work of Carlo Collodi. You know the story. A lonely woodcarver builds a puppet. The puppet comes to life. His nose grows when he lies. A cricket becomes his conscience. And after learning a few lessons about honesty, courage, and sacrifice, Pinocchio finally becomes a real boy. Cute. Heartwarming. Merchandise friendly. There's just one small problem. Carlo Collodi's Pinocchio was absolutely freaking terrifying. Before Disney gave him catchy songs and a cricket in formal wear, Pinocchio was running through a 19th century nightmare filled with poverty, fraud, violence, exploitation, corrupt authority figures, desperate children, and adults who looked at vulnerability and immediately started calculating the resale value. Pinocchio kills the talking cricket. He is robbed, imprisoned, nearly murdered, hanged from a tree, transformed into a donkey, sold to a circus, beaten into performing, then sold again to a man who wants to kill him, skin him, and turn his hide into a drum. And somewhere around that point, you begin wondering exactly what Italian parents were reading to their children before bedtime. But beneath Collodi's grotesque humor and fairy tale violence was something very real. He was writing in a newly unified Italy struggling with poverty, illiteracy, migration, child labor, social inequality, and the exploitation of vulnerable children. That does not mean Pinocchio was secretly a coded exposé of one specific criminal organization. The real story is more interesting than that. Collodi created a world where children are constantly offered shortcuts, easy money, freedom without responsibility, promises that sound wonderful right up until somebody starts attaching a price tag. The fox and the cat promise wealth. The coachman promises endless fun. The land of toys promises freedom. And nearly every promise turns into a trap. Sound familiar? Yeah. Apparently, scams got Wi-Fi, but the sales pitch hasn't changed much since 1881. So today, we're going back before the Blue Fairy, before Pleasure Island, before When You Wish Upon a Star, and back into Carlo Collodi's strange, violent, surprisingly sophisticated original story. Because Pinocchio was never just about lying. It was about learning how to survive in a world full of people who lie better than you do. This is Pinocchio, the dark truth behind the wooden boy. Before Disney made him cute, most people know Pinocchio as the little wooden boy with the growing nose. He lies. His nose gets longer. Jiminy Cricket tells him to behave. The Blue Fairy gives him a chance to prove himself. He gets into trouble, learns a lesson, saves Geppetto, and eventually becomes a real boy. Nice. Clean. Marketable. Carlo Collodi's original Pinocchio is another animal entirely. The story first appeared as a serial beginning in 1881, before being published as The Adventures of Pinocchio in book form in 1883. And Collodi was not interested in giving children a gentle little bedtime adventure. His Pinocchio is reckless, impulsive, selfish, violent, gullible, stubborn, and frequently one bad decision away from becoming firewood. The world around him is even worse. Adults lie to him. Strangers exploit him. Authority figures fail him. He is robbed, imprisoned, chased, hanged, transformed into an animal, sold, beaten, nearly drowned, and swallowed by a sea monster. Disney gave audiences a morality tale wrapped in beautiful animation. Collodi gave them survival training. And the deeper you go into the original story, the stranger it gets. The puppet who killed his conscience. Pinocchio's problems begin almost immediately. Before the puppet even exists, the piece of wood from which he will be carved is already alive. It complains when it is cut. It laughs. It reacts. Then Geppetto carves the puppet. The second Pinocchio is finished, he becomes uncontrollable. He mocks Geppetto. He kicks him. He runs away. Geppetto chases him through the streets, where the situation somehow gets even worse. Instead of helping the old man recover the puppet he just created, the authorities arrest Geppetto. Pinocchio is left alone. Then comes one of the darkest early scenes. The talking cricket appears. Disney later transformed this character into Jiminy Cricket, Pinocchio's charming, lifelong conscience. Collodi's cricket does not get that luxury. He lectures Pinocchio. He warns him that children who abandon responsibility and reject good advice usually regret it. Pinocchio becomes irritated. So he picks up a wooden hammer and throws it. The hammer strikes the cricket in the head. The cricket dies. That's chapter 4. We are barely out of the driveway. Symbolically, the scene is brutal. The first voice trying to steer Pinocchio away from disaster gets silenced by Pinocchio himself. He destroys his own warning system. And from that moment forward, every scam artist in Italy apparently receives a notification saying, "New customer available." The Italy behind the fairy tale. To understand why Pinocchio is so harsh, you have to look at the country Collodi was writing in. Italy had only recently unified politically. The new nation faced enormous regional inequality, poverty, limited education, migration, and economic instability. For many poor families, childhood did not mean toys and school. It meant work. Children labored in agriculture, workshops, mines, factories, domestic service, and street trades. Historical records show that child labor remained deeply embedded in Italian economic life throughout the 19th century. There was also the padrone system. Padroni acted as labor brokers, recruiting workers and migrants. Some arrangements were legitimate. Others became abusive. These conditions matter when reading Pinocchio. That does not mean Collodi secretly created a one-to-one coded exposé of a specific trafficking ring. There is no solid evidence for that claim. But his fictional world clearly reflects a society where poor children could be manipulated by adults promising opportunity. Pinocchio repeatedly encounters the same pattern. A stranger offers something wonderful. Money. Freedom. Fun. Escape. Then comes the bill. The fox, the cat, and the original get-rich-quick scam. Pinocchio eventually receives several gold coins. Naturally, because this is Pinocchio, he immediately meets two people interested in separating him from them: the fox and the cat. They tell Pinocchio about the field of miracles. According to them, all he needs to do is bury his money in the ground. Then, magically, it will grow into a tree covered with gold coins. Pinocchio believes them, because apparently financial scams existed long before email spam. The fox and the cat represent something remarkably modern. They do not threaten Pinocchio at first. They sell him a shortcut. No work. No patience. No responsibility. Just easy wealth. Pinocchio wants the fantasy to be true so badly that he ignores every warning sign. When deception fails to deliver the money quickly enough, the story turns violent. The fox and the cat disguise themselves as assassins. They chase Pinocchio through the night. He runs desperately looking for help. Eventually, he reaches a house. There he sees a mysterious girl with turquoise hair. He begs to be allowed inside. Her response: "Everyone in the house is dead, including her." And if you are thinking, well, that escalated quickly, congratulations. You are now reading Collodi correctly. The Hanging of Pinocchio. Pinocchio runs. The assassins catch him. They tie a rope around his neck. Then they hang him from a large oak tree. He struggles. He kicks. The wind moves his body back and forth. And originally, that was the ending. When Pinocchio was first published as a serial, Collodi stopped after chapter 15. Pinocchio was left hanging from the tree, apparently dead. No transformation. No rescue. No happy ending. The story was over. Readers wanted more. The publisher wanted more. So Collodi eventually continued. But that original ending tells us something important. Collodi was willing to let consequences be catastrophic. His story does not operate according to the modern rule that the hero is protected because children are reading. Pinocchio repeatedly ignores warnings. He trusts predators. He chases shortcuts. Eventually, the world hits back. Hard. When Collodi resumes the story, the mysterious girl with turquoise hair develops into the fairy with turquoise hair. Disney would later reshape her into the familiar blue fairy. But Collodi's version remains strange, eerie, and unpredictable. Nothing about her feels particularly safe, which fits the rest of Pinocchio's world perfectly. The nose everybody remembers. Eventually, we reach the famous nose. The fairy asks Pinocchio what happened. Pinocchio lies. His nose grows. He lies again. It grows more. This is the part generations remember. Lie and the truth eventually becomes visible. Simple lesson. Easy classroom poster. But focusing only on the nose misses the larger pattern. Pinocchio's greatest problem is not simply that he lies. His problem is that he is terrible at recognizing when other people are lying to him. The fox lies. The cat lies. Adults make promises they cannot be trusted to keep. Strangers manipulate his desires. Pinocchio spends much of the story learning the difference between what sounds good and what is true. That distinction is more important than the nose. Pinocchio lies because he wants to avoid consequences. Other people lie because they want something from him. That is a very different kind of danger. And it prepares us for the darkest trap in the entire story. The Land of Toys. The Land of Toys. Pinocchio meets a boy called Candlewick. Candlewick tells him about an incredible place. No school. No studying. No teachers. No responsibilities. Nothing but entertainment. Every day. Forever. The Land of Toys. Pinocchio cannot resist. And that is exactly why the trap works. Nobody drags him there. Nobody kidnaps him at knife point. Pinocchio chooses to go because the offer is designed specifically around what children want. Freedom without consequences. Pleasure without responsibility. Eventually, something strange happens. Pinocchio wakes up and discovers that his ears are changing. They become long, furry, donkey ears. Then his hands become hooves. His entire body transforms. Candlewick suffers the same fate. The boys discover that the Land of Toys was never truly about freedom. The coachman who transported them there has a business model. Bring children to the Land of Toys. Allow them to indulge themselves. Wait until they transform into donkeys. Sell them. That is the real horror. The boys become commodities. Their value exists only in what somebody else can make them do. Disney adapted this sequence into Pleasure Island. But Collodi's version pushes the exploitation even further. Sold, beaten, and discarded. Pinocchio, now a donkey, is sold to a circus. There he is trained to perform. The circus does not care about his dreams. It cares about usefulness. Pinocchio performs until he injures his leg. Then his value disappears. No rehabilitation. No retirement plan. No gold watch. He is sold again. The next buyer has an even better idea. Kill him. Skin him. turn his hide into a drum. That is literally the plan. The man ties a stone to Pinocchio and throws him into the sea, intending to drown him. But instead of dying, Pinocchio undergoes another transformation. Fish eat away the donkey skin. Underneath it remains the wooden puppet. Pinocchio survives. Again. The sequence is one of the clearest examples of Collodi's brutal worldview. When Pinocchio is useful, people want him. When he stops being useful, they discard him. That theme fits uncomfortably well beside the real history of exploited labor. People are valuable while they produce. Then they become replaceable. Collodi turns that economic cruelty into fairy tale horror. The terrible dogfish. Disney gave us Monstro the whale. Collodi gave us something called the terrible dogfish, which frankly sounds like something you encounter after ignoring 3 separate beach warning signs. Pinocchio is swallowed by the enormous creature. Inside, he discovers Geppetto. Geppetto has also been swallowed and has survived inside the monster. For the first time, Pinocchio is no longer simply reacting to danger. He begins acting responsibly. He helps Geppetto. He works to support him. He starts thinking beyond himself. The reckless puppet who once ran away from his father now becomes responsible for protecting him. That transformation matters. Because Pinocchio does not become human simply because a magical woman decides he has suffered enough. His final change comes after he changes his behavior. He works. He takes responsibility. He cares for Geppetto. He helps others. He finally stops chasing shortcuts. The physical transformation comes after the moral one. Who was Carlo Collodi? Carlo Collodi was not actually Carlo Collodi. His real name was Carlo Lorenzini. He was born in Florence in 1826. His parents came from modest circumstances. His father worked as a cook and his mother worked in domestic service. Lorenzini received an education partly through assistance from wealthier patrons. He studied in religious schools but later became deeply involved in journalism, satire, politics, and Italian nationalist causes. He supported Italian unification. After unification, however, Italy remained filled with enormous social problems. Poverty did not disappear because somebody changed the flag. Illiteracy did not vanish because politicians declared a nation. Regional inequality remained severe. Education became one of the central challenges facing the new Italy, and children's literature became part of that project. Stories were expected to teach obedience, responsibility, education, work, citizenship. Collodi certainly included those lessons, but he also filled his story with incompetent judges, predatory adults, absurd institutions, and social hypocrisy. Authority in Pinocchio is not automatically good. Sometimes adults are wise. Sometimes they are idiots. Sometimes they are dangerous. Pinocchio has to learn the difference. That is far more sophisticated than simply telling children, "Do what you're told." What Disney changed. When Walt Disney released Pinocchio in 1940, the studio transformed Collodi's chaotic story into something much more emotionally focused. Jiminy Cricket became a friendly guide. The fairy became warmer. Geppetto became more lovable. Pinocchio became more innocent. The violence decreased. The grotesque satire softened. Disney retained major themes such as temptation, honesty, courage, and transformation. But the emotional center changed. Disney asks, can Pinocchio prove himself worthy of becoming human? Collodi asks something messier. Can Pinocchio learn enough about the world to survive it? That difference matters. Collodi's world constantly tests judgment. A child must learn who to trust, when to walk away, when an opportunity is really exploitation, when freedom is really bait. The land of toys is terrifying precisely because it looks wonderful. The fox and the cat succeed because their scam sounds profitable. Predators do not always announce themselves as predators. Sometimes they arrive smiling. That lesson aged remarkably well. The warning that never got old. More than 140 years after Collodi began publishing Pinocchio, the mechanics of exploitation remain painfully familiar. Someone vulnerable wants something. Money. Freedom. Acceptance. Escape. An adult or institution promises an easy path. Then the person making the promise discovers a way to profit from the vulnerability. That pattern did not begin with Pinocchio. And it certainly did not end there. Child labor remains a global problem. Millions of children around the world are still involved in work that interferes with education, damages health, or places them in dangerous conditions. The details have changed. The mechanism has not. That does not mean the coachman is secretly running social media or that every modern industry is a literal land of toys. We do not need cartoon conspiracy theories. Reality already provides enough uncomfortable parallels. The warning is simpler. Be suspicious of anybody offering freedom while quietly calculating your value. Be suspicious of people promising wealth without effort. Be suspicious when someone encourages you to abandon every person trying to protect you. And always ask who profits from the deal. Becoming real. Pinocchio has survived because the story is bigger than the nose. The growing nose became the icon. But it is not the heart of the book. The heart of Pinocchio is judgment. A puppet enters the world knowing almost nothing. He believes people who flatter him. He rejects people who warn him. He runs toward temptation. He mistakes freedom for irresponsibility. He learns almost everything the hardest possible way. Slowly, painfully, he changes. That is what makes the transformation into a real boy meaningful. The fairy does not merely transform wood into flesh. By the end of the story, Pinocchio has already become more human through his choices. He cares. He works. He sacrifices. He recognizes deception. He takes responsibility. Then the magic catches up. Disney turned that journey into one of the most beautiful animated stories ever made. Collodi wrote something harsher, something dirtier, Something closer to a warning shouted from a 19th century street corner. The world contains foxes. The world contains cats. The world contains coachmen. And sometimes the most dangerous trap is the one that looks exactly like what you were hoping to find. So no, Pinocchio was never merely about a puppet whose nose grew when he lied. It was about learning to survive among people who lie better than you do. The fox and the cat never really disappeared. The coachman never really retired. And somewhere out there, somebody is always offering a free ride to the land of toys. The smart move? Ask where the wagon is going before you climb aboard. Final thoughts. And that Cupcakes is the Pinocchio most people never meet. Not the polished little puppet with the bow tie. Not the cheerful cricket. Not the wish upon a star. Carlo Collodi gave us something rougher. A story about temptation, bad judgment, exploitation, consequences, survival, and the painful process of becoming wise enough to recognize when somebody is selling you a beautiful lie. Pinocchio keeps getting burned because he wants shortcuts. Easy money. Easy freedom. Easy answers. And every time somebody offers him exactly what he wants, there is usually a trap door underneath it. The fox and the cat want his money. The coachman wants his labor. The circus wants his usefulness. And the second that usefulness disappears, so does the sympathy. That is what makes the original story hit so differently. The villains are not frightening because they have horns or magic powers. They are frightening because they understand weakness. They know what people want. And they know exactly how to package the bait. That part never went out of style. Collodi's world may have been written in the 19th century, but the warning still feels uncomfortably current. Not every opportunity is an opportunity. Not every promise of freedom leads somewhere free. And anybody telling you that you can get rich without work probably already has their hand in your pocket. By the end, Pinocchio becomes human. But he does not get there because somebody simply grants him a wish. He gets there because eventually, after getting robbed, chased, hanged, transformed, sold, nearly skinned, nearly drowned, and swallowed by a giant sea creature, the little bastard finally develops some common sense. Better late than never. And that wooden puppet left behind? Maybe that is the most powerful image of all. The version of yourself that believed everything, trusted everybody, ran toward every shiny promise. That version does not have to disappear from your memory. You just have to stop letting it drive. So the next time somebody tells you Pinocchio is just a cute little story about lying, remember, the nose was the least of this kid's problems. The real story was about learning who was lying to him. This has been Pinocchio, the dark truth behind the wooden boy. A Pizzaverse Studios and Palermo Productions documentary. We don't rewrite history. We excavate it. And sometimes what we dig up has strings attached.
If you enjoyed this deep dive into the darker history behind Pinocchio, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next excavation. Here at Bambi Palermo and the Pizzaverse, we dig into hidden history, organized crime, psychology, old Hollywood, dark fairy tales, strange legends, And the stories powerful people would probably prefer you never examine too closely. And to the real ones who keep showing up, watching, sharing, commenting, and supporting what we do, thank you. Seriously? You are the reason this little corner of the internet keeps growing into something bigger. Every view matters. Every comment matters. Every share matters. And every person who says, "Hold up, I never knew that," is exactly why we keep doing these documentaries. So from Bambi Vinny, Ghost the Shiba Inu, Pizzaversi Studios, and Palermo Productions, thank you to the real ones. Stay sharp. Stay skeptical. Stay authentic. This is the Pizzaverse, and we do not miss. You ever notice how the truth don't disappear? It just gets managed? Introducing Truthless, the official solution for inconvenient facts. Got a witness talking too much? A report that don't match the story? A timeline that starts looking a little too accurate? Relax, with Truthless, you don't fix the problem, you erase it. Our patented formula combines selective memory, institutional silence, and just a touch of chemical compliance. Side effects may include confusion, missing files, sudden accidents, and a lifetime supply of unanswered questions. And for our premium clients, we offer deluxe narrative control where facts get rewritten, witnesses get discredited, and the public gets a nice, clean bedtime story. Because let's be honest, people don't want the truth. They want something that helps them sleep at night. So the next time reality starts knocking a little too loud, just take Truthless. Truthless. Because the truth ain't the problem. People who know it are.
A good father, 2 sons and a daughter, but he wakes up and he asks himself, why even bother if he cannot feed his family? The wage he's paid